Welcome to Smash Writing. I am your host, Paul. This is Justin.
He's lying to you. Don't let him lie.
His name is Joe. His real name is Joe.
Our brother's name.
Okay, so over the last past year, we literally broke down the major groups of action, comedy, horror, and did our ranking.
And officially, we are here to rank our favorite movies of all time by science. It's by science. These are all of our number ones in every category.
Yes.
And every decade, minus... Oh, horror went back to the 70s. We didn't do that and everything else. Because the 70s is fucking rough.
And that's why we did 70s and beyond.
Yeah.
We just grouped it because horror didn't really come out stronger until the late 70s and 80s, and now it's...
And you had bits like Psycho.
Yeah, but
No,
it wasn't
similar.
enough. It wasn't enough to do a top 10 in
Yeah.
each decade. That's the thing.
And when you get the comedy and action, it's like, no, I'm not going back any further.
That is true, because we're starting a new idea, and we've already hate the idea because...
We'll get to that idea later.
Yeah.
But these are our number ones in every category. In horror, action, comedy, across every decade that we've done. Now we gotta rank them all. There are 13 of them because we do not follow our own instructions.
We're getting more organized as it goes
No,
on.
we're not.
Yeah, no, we're taking more and more notes.
How long did it take us to set up this camera?
That's your first time you bringing your camera here, so you know. But okay, let's start with yours because yours is the most recent one that we put out there.
My number 13 is Jack Frost, the Killer Snowman. I know! I'm shocked too that it's in my top 13 of all time. It's how the ball rolled, though. It's the best comedy from the 90s in my book. And it is number 13 on my top 13 favorites.
We both gave it high reviews. So,
Yes, we did. It's just so funny.
My
And we're going to talk about it again next month, too.
this time the loving one.
We're going to talk about both of them next time. Because we're going to rank our favorite Christmas movies.
Oh,
First day, I'm sure this will be high on that list.
yeah. Wow, yeah, BoJack Frost could be on the list. It's a... Oh, okay. My number 13.
You've done a review on this. That
Yeah.
was not kind.
And it did change my opinion of it, too. The Exorcist, which was my number one pick in the horror of the 70s and beyond. Why did I pick this as my number one of the 70s and beyond?
Because you hadn't watched Invasion yet.
No, I think when we did this one, like, we didn't do classic monster, so I didn't get to see any of this.
Yeah.
But I have to dig my own grave and live with it. The Exorcist is my number 13 of my top 13 films.
Well, we wanted to go into detail on this and everything, but outside of Linda Blair, man, there's nothing in this movie.
I give it a couple extra scenes, but I just, it's too damn long. That is it. It's too damn long. But number 13, The Exorcist, which is my number one of the 70s beyond horror.
My number 12 is a movie you said you were surprised it was so low on my list.
I really am.
It's Twister. I love this movie.
We haven't did a review on that, like, together. I don't
think we have. No, we got to.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Fantastic. Shaped my childhood and who I am as a human being.
Flying cow and,
The Flying House.
and chasing tornadoes.
I wanted the job. That was my dream job. Was chasing storms. Stay chasing storms. It's because of this goddamn movie.
You know what though? Like that actually is they made that shit fun. Like you're just
Yeah.
like, okay, as long as nothing comes in and whacks me in the head or something kills me, I'm fucking good.
Oh, that scene at the movie theaters with the bandsaw came flying through and cut the guy's forehead.
Okay, my number 6. This was my number one of
Number 12.
yeah, number 12 is this was my number one of the 80s horror, and Jason Lives. Jason 6. Friday the 13th. Jason Lives. This film brought the Jason that everybody loves.
Zombie Jason.
Yeah, like it ignores the Jason living in the woods because he's dead now. He's resurrected, and I don't know. This is one of those films that I can just keep just rewatch.
Yeah, it was a high rewatch value.
Yeah, it probably
This is,
6, 7, and 8. Probably more or less 6 and 7 are probably the highest rewatch value.
I'm trying to remember what the hell that guy's name was. The protagonist, the one who faces off to Jason's at the end of the Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah, this, no doubt that they, Jason 5,
Certainly went somewhere.
yeah, certainly went somewhere, but they did a good job of like just covering, getting rid of that, and going, okay, let's do the zombie Jason. It worked. It actually, like I said, 6 and 7 has so much rewatch value that tonight I might just watch it again. Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives is my number 12.
My number 11 is animated from action of the 2010s. It is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Still think this is one of the best Spider-Man movies they've ever made. The animation is gorgeous. I loved all the meetings with Spider-Man. Great scenes, fun action, fun movie, fun little twists. Like you had the Lady Doc was really cool. Kingpin worked really well. Just a fun time.
My number 11 is my number 1 from the 80s action, and it's Die Hard. What can you... Die Hard, you know, pretty much like put Bruce Willis on them. I mean, I know he was probably in movies beforehand, but I'm saying like this was one of his breakout roles.
Yeah, it launched him in the action genre for
Yeah.
sure.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Well, they put him on par with Schwarzenegger and Stallone in the 80s.
Yeah. Also, you know, the villain, you know.
No, one of the best villains of all time.
Yep. So, I mean, this movie did a lot, and it's a Christmas movie.
It is. I'll fight anyone who says it's not. The robbery couldn't have happened without the Christmas party.
And understand that if what makes a theme movie is if the theme is one of the main points is that it's surrounding. This is taking place on Christmas. He's at the airport. You got the Christmas party. This is a Christmas movie.
That Gruber knew that the boss would be there. It would be minimally staffed, minimally gone because it's Christmas time. The perfect time to do the robbery.
So I mean, and don't get me wrong. Like there's a lot of action films in the '80s. A lot of the bigger stars that we know in our generation started in the '80s. But there's something about this film, the magic that it has, that the whole cast all delivered, and that is my number 11.
My number 10 is from the 1970s horror, is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This was actually higher up on the list originally. I rearranged it. Oh, it's great. I love the psychological horror of you don't know who's who. I like the way they like dramatic irony where they go and they
real quick.
The audience members know.
I might have just slipped when you said this. Which invasion is this?
This is the 70s.
70s. Okay.
1974, 1978, something like that.
Okay.
The Donald Sutherland one.
Okay. I didn't know if I caught you saying which one it actually was.
I should have because we went back further and it could have encompassed the 1958 one.
Oh yeah, these two. You could have put them both on the.
Well, no, only one was number 1.
I know, but both of them were on your list? Okay.
No, there's just so much. I love the background stuff going on. Like, we know that there are pod people around, but the main characters don't. So it's really fun to watch what's happening in the background at the same time as watching the main cast. Yeah, number 10?
My number 10 was actually, we're doing with the comedy. This was my number 1 comedy of the 80s. And once again, I always say you can't get out of the 80s without Eddie Murphy. Beverly Hills Cop is my number 10. Now, it's hard to say which one really got Eddie Murphy into superstardom, but I like this one slightly more over 48 Hours.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because more of the cast, but both were hilarious, but this was my number 1, and this is my number 10 overall.
Before I go to number 9, if you want to see longer takes on this or longer points of view, you can go back to these various decade videos and check them out. We're kind of just glossing over them because we've talked about these movies.
Yeah, there's nothing more we can say.
Yeah. So if you want to see longer discussion points about these movies, then you can hop back into those other reviews.
This is like the summary.
This is the end. This is the final lap. We wanted to move on to a new idea.
New ideas. We love doing it, but
it's gotta end. Speaking of end. Number 9 is The World's End, or AKA My Future.
Oh God, I hate that you made me watch these films.
They're the best comedy movies of all time. I want you to take a real good look at my list. How many of them are true comedies?
None.
And we did a comedy. We did a whole 40 years of comedy. None.
You found the damn loopholes. That's all you did. Like he found in our makeup rules of his damn idea, he found the loopholes.
But no, The World's End is fantastic. Yeah, I think it's the best of the chocolate and corn. Well, maybe not, because it's not that high.
Yeah, look at
I was
you.
about to say, it would be higher up if I thought it was the best.
We're fucking
I
this
clearly
up.
don't.
No, you don't.
But it's
You think of the best of its decade.
Yeah, the best of the decade. But, The World's End is fantastic. The twist. Oh, so good.
I'll give the twist was entertaining. That part was. My number 9. Child's Play 2. This was my number 1 horror of the 90s.
This is your Jack Frost.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, bringing Chucky back. This is actually the first one I ever watched the series, and I always thought this was the first one because the boy was so young. But I didn't know like they literally did. Wait, was that 9? Yeah, 90. Wow. I thought that bringing Chucky was just full on Chucky at this point.
The ending is fantastic when he just
The toy
full
plant.
murderous at the toy plant. Yeah,
Yeah, the whole scene with the toy plant was just
that
awesome.
finale is great.
Yeah. Child's Play 2.
So his sister's, the foster sister, is fantastic. She's great in this. I can't remember her name.
Yeah. But that is.
They've not used her well in the series. Holy crap, that series is bad. Anyway,
I gotta still finish season 1, which now I gotta hurry.
you're not missing much.
I know. I was halfway through it. Child's Play 2 is my number 9.
My number 8, Churn 'em Up.
This was very entertaining.
Oh, it's from top to bottom. Great stuff. The lines in it.
If we didn't have all the camera and our board up here so that we can read these, I would run to my game room, which is just outside our studio, and just bring in the DVD.
Yeah, oh God, it's great. The tit for tat line, the chemistry between all the actors and actresses. The fact that the soundtrack is bangers after bangers. Great action sequences with these guns. And then you get to the point where it's like why the villains are after him, and it's all about gun control. And it's like, no, I love it.
I think like
Love
the best, one of the best shooting scenes is when he puts the bullets between.
Oh
his
yeah, the
fingers.
end where he shoots Paul Giamatti, he shoves his hand in the fire and shoots him. The Clive Owens and Paul Giamatti, just Monica
I love
Bellucci
that.
too.
We might have to
Oh.
like review this one in detail.
Yeah, we do. We do.
I'm glad that this is the end of the year because end of the year is always like things. You got October, Halloween. You got fall is kind of random. November is kind of random, but then you got December. But then fucking when you get into January, it's random.
Yeah.
So it can be
Shooting
more
Up might be
exciting.
there. And it's this is the one that is him ranting about the guy who doesn't use his turn signal. I could be here all day. He stabs people with carrots, Paul. Carrots. He's
I
killing
know.
people with carrots.
All right, but my number 8, Taken. Liam Neeson wasn't like he's an older action star, but he was never that. You've seen him in Star Wars: Phantom Menace, but this one really, at his age too, he stepped out the awesome. I don't know who you are, and good luck.
He really did. Like he was good in Batman, and then he just blew him up.
Yeah, like literally, I think those are his 3 action films. Prior to Taken was Star Wars: Phantom Menace, Batman, and this, and then
He was in some weird horror movie. I can't remember what it is.
He was in The Haunting.
It wasn't The Haunting.
It was with Owen Wilson.
Yeah, I know, but there was another one. I just can't remember what it is.
I mean, he was famous when
Yeah.
he was a big star before this, but
Taken, like, retook him off. Kinda
yeah,
like
it kind of put him in an action genre where he's like 90 years old now, still doing action films. But that is my number 8.
My number 7, Evil Dead 2, my favorite comedy of the 1980s. New City, baby.
Justin's showing personality. This is funny.
This early in the morning, normally I don't wake up till like the 5th video.
And then he's done.
Time to go. Evil Dead 2 is just great. Like I've said many, many, many times, Bruce Campbell is the master of beating himself up. Sam Raimi loved having him just beat himself up for his own entertainment.
To this day, he still beats himself up.
Yeah.
And Sam Raimi still makes him beat himself up. Most recently, Doctor Strange.
But it's just so much fun. You got to see like they like do a little bit of a quick flash remake retelling of the first one at the beginning of this movie, but it kicks off with him alone in his cabin for so long. The deer head scene of all of the objects in the cabin just laughing at him. He has to cut off his own hand. You get the chainsaw hand here, and you get the ties to what will come next at the end of the movie. Great time. My kind of comedy.
My number 7 is the comedy of the decade of 2010 to 2019, and that is Get Hard. I'm not a Will Ferrell fan. You may think I am. You may want to think
Your
I am.
list certainly says otherwise here.
My
Paul.
list does says, thank God these are in 2 different decades, but Get Hard had Will Ferrell and the biggest comedy star in our generation right now, Kevin Hart.
Let's say The Rock.
You know what? Rock is like tied in a different way. It's weird, but the comedy that they had, 2 different styles, they made it work, and it was just hilarious. Him, Will Ferrell being the stupid slapstick comedy character, Kevin Hart being like the slapstick comedy, but also being the wise one of the 2, which is scary. They brought the laughs. Kevin, teaching him how to be getting tough to go into prison. It had all the laughs, and that's why it was my favorite comedy of the 10s.
My number 6 is from the 90s. It is Event Horizon.
I want to make this correction right now. I don't know what I was thinking. This should have been in replace of My Child's Play 2.
Someone's not paying attention.
I don't know how I wrote my list down, unless that might have been the list that I made 2 of and I took the wrong one.
Well, Event Horizon, as a coworker gave me this movie to watch like a year or 2, and he's like, "It's Hellraiser, but in space."
And that sounds goofy, but then when you watch it,
Yes.
holy shit.
Sam Neill and Lawrence.
I think we reviewed this last year,
We did.
and we both gave it.
S2? Did we
Yeah.
give it S2?
Yeah.
Movie? That's a great movie.
We loved this.
The whole underlying horror throughout, and then finally, bam, in your face at the end.
I mean, you had Sam Neill
Sam Neill.
as the. Oh my God, he was twisted.
His
Even when he was a good guy, he was twisted.
You gotta tell, it's like, you're gonna go evil, aren't you? Aren't you?
Then Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was such a good foil to bounce off of Sam.
And then you had them both die. Like, that was awesome. Twisted. Oh, it made
Twisted, bloody delight.
it. Loved
Good
it.
times. My kind of comedy.
My number 6 is. Did I put this under the action one? Comedy. Ooh, I could have gone both ways with this. My number 1 comedy and my number
Gonna do it.
6 overall
Too
film is
easy.
Rush Hour. What can you say? This film could have honestly been in both genres. It was action, comedy, action, whatever. You want to talk about great chemistry? You had Jackie
It's
Chan.
the gold standard of buddy cop movie.
Yeah,
Is
I
Rush
don't.
Hour.
Like, if we were to do a buddy cop ranking, this
That you throw it out there. I'm not doing it.
this would be number 1. Chris Tucker carrying the comedy, Jackie Chan carrying the action, the chemistry.
like
Oh,
as you went, like they even like switched a little. Like Chris Tucker wasn't like a fight guy, but he was able to hold his own.
yeah. Well, like when he needed to throw a punch, he would. And even then, Jackie trying to break into the English mode was
Yeah.
Like, you know, so I was like, that's Jackie probably actually trying to really do this in real life. What is good for?
Shut up. The hell was that? Having a stroke.
But that's my number 6 overall, Rush Hour.
My number 5, are you surprised this is there? You know, especially all the way up here?
No, I'm not actually.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a lot of thumbnails.
Yeah. Why is it not number 1 is probably a better question.
You don't even know what my number 1 is.
No, my number 1 was pretty much easy. He had to go, oh, I'm surprised. We have a production board where we can read, you know, in our notes, and so we can still focus and everything. And he keeps his number 1, mostly because he ran out of room, but but go on.
My number 5 is Silent Hill. This movie gets a lot of mistreatment.
Part 2 is horrible, but this was a good one.
I don't think part 2 is that bad. I think I'm leaning back toward it's alright, but part 1 is fantastic. I do love what they've done here. They made some changes, but very much stick to what the guns of the game are, and then made up their own story to fit this telling of it. They pull from the lore, they utilize it really well. And let's say it's actually fucking terrifying. That child is scary as hell. That's why I'm not having any kids, because my kid would be in a wrestle.
My number 5 is Step Brothers. This was my number 1 comedy from 2000 to 2009. I can rewatch this. I'm not the biggest fan of slapstick comedy, but for some odd reason,
Here we are.
2 grown-ass men bickering and being stepbrothers. I put my nutsack on your drum set, sweating and going, oh, I was watching Cops. And then going back and forth. I can rewatch this movie over and
Did we
over.
just become best friends?
Yup!
Fucking lies blown in my brain.
Yeah, I can't say much more because it's just so over the top that it worked. And that scares me.
That duo is literally the definition of flash in the pan. Because when they try to go on to do something else, it kind of just falls apart.
Yeah, like they only work together, and it actually most of their movies.
Well, they did Talladega Nights.
But that was still in the same timeline.
Yeah.
It was like, I think that was like 07.
Yeah, that's when they tried doing Sherlock Holmes spin-off, is when they
Kind of
and
fell off, and it's like, okay, let's not work together. But that's my number 5.
My number 4, look at that, Paul. You were so worried about not having comedies being misrepresented on my
Because it's horror
It's
comedy.
number 4.
It's horror
number
comedy.
4.
It's not pure comedy.
Shaun of the Dead. You're right, it's a romance movie with zombies in it. That's what it says on the cover. I trust them. This is the kickoff to the Blood and Chocolate trilogy, and what a way to kick off the trilogy it was.
Now,
Yeah.
when we did this, we both ranked, when we ranked them after we reviewed the 3rd film, we said this was actually the peak.
Oh, I think this whole thing is the peak. It's mountain. Top of the mountain that never came down. Paul came down a bit. And it's still the best Seth Rogen's ever been. No, is that Seth Rogen? Yeah, I believe so. Seth Rogen's ever been was voicing Paul.
Oh, okay.
No, Sean does fantastic. Best comedy.
My number 4 is the savior of Marvel. Number 1 action
I don't think it's the savior of Marvel.
It kind of actually is. This launched. Marvel had a rough go around in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, this was their best until Iron Man.
Yeah. And
Well, I don't know who owned Blade.
Sony.
Sony owned
did.
Blade, so this was their best till Spider-Man.
Yep. Which was only a couple years later, but this gave everybody hope that you can have more than Batman and Superman on the big screen. And
Well, say what it is.
It is the 98 film Blade, starring Wesley Snipes. What? Wesley Snipes is an action star, a bona fide action star. And to give him and put him in this character where he doesn't talk much and he just kicks ass, and they made it work with,
What's so funny is, like, you see Snipes in Major League, and he's such a good talker. And then it's like, you know what? Don't talk in this movie.
Yeah, like, dude, a complete, but it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
I mean, maybe that's kudos to his actual overall talent, but, you know, because I know he's a martial artist. Like, he was a mixed martial artist. He did train prior to all of this.
Yeah.
So he was an action star, and this really probably launched him higher than ever. Saved Marvel. What can you say? Like, he had some good one-liners. Him going, Blade going up against
Deacon Frost.
Deacon Frost.
He was a great antagonist to use against him because he handled the talking.
Yeah, and you got to see how he rose to power and pure blood. I don't care. I was bitten. I'm still going to kick your ass.
Well, I love that little dynamic too, the little in-war between pure blood vampires and the bitten vampires.
Yeah. Then you have the hybrid that Blade is. So that's my number 4, Blade.
My number 3. He gets the gun back for another month. He gets the gun back for another month.
Oh gosh, we already know the cover photo.
He's had that Predator gun every month this year. She's getting it back this time because number 3 is Predator. It's the best alien movie. It's the best horror movie. It's the best action movie. Predator.
Are you saying?
Well, I'm just, not figuratively.
Because, we all Prey, and we were extremely high.
Yeah. It's so hard to pick between those two. I'm not at the point where I'm picking between those two yet. Can't make me. This ain't the time for it. Oh, that alien is fantastic. It is my favorite alien of all time. The Yautja. It's a great word, too.
My number...
It's even got a kick-ass name. What the fuck? This
Predator. As basic as you can get.
Alien has got everything going for him. Badass look, badass weapons, badass name.
My number 3 was my number 1 horror.
Boo. Boo.
Of 2009.
Boo.
Paranormal Activity.
Boo.
Scary is I just read that they're making another.
No.
Yeah.
God, why?
The next of kin I gave horrible reviews to.
You deal with those movies. I can't anymore.
Some of the sequels are very questionable. This one just got me because it was so basic.
What was that? What was that?
Exactly.
What was that?
But it worked. It worked. Because even the slow demon revealing itself into Katie is
one good scene in this entire franchise.
I mean, the boyfriend was annoying.
Yes.
Mika.
Seeing Mika die is the only. I'll watch that scene till I die. That was great. And when they did it, they showed it again from a different point of view in 3. Like, yes, kill him again.
So that is my number 3. Let's go with your number 2.
It was hard picking 2 over 1. And in an alternate timeline, this is over number 1. But in this one, in the current moment in day,
in Universe 616.
616, it is Pumpkinhead.
Number 2.
I love the story of vengeance here, of be wary of chasing vengeance, accepting responsibility from the guy's point of view, because he did come around to it. He was going to just go to the cops, and it was too late. Had he just stayed, they did such a good job of creating a scenario that would make him run. It was an accident. He didn't mean it, but all the evidence would suggest, like, yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. And it was a piece of shit. They set him up to be a piece of shit.
He was drinking.
Yeah, but it really wasn't his fault. The kid did run out in the bath, and he was in the air. He couldn't have done anything.
Yeah, but then, like, what he did after the fact.
He ran in fear.
Yeah.
But then, like, he was going to confess, but at that point, the Pumpkinhead monster had already been called. It was too late.
My number 2 is my favorite horror of 2010 to 2019, and I'm talking about Sinister.
I never watched this movie.
I think you really should.
People like, you watch The Conjuring, you're going to have a good time.
No, I do think this one is... I don't know how you would feel about it, but I am saying that Ethan Hawke as a writer that writes stories, the tape of the Bugai, Bagul, the cast, everybody does their part right, and it's just a slow, twisted till into like darkness. and it ends the way you think it is. There's no little hidden twist and all that. It ends the exact way you think it should end, and scientific proof that this was one of the true scariest films.
Oh, get the fuck out of here! I saw that article.
by
Right up the ass. That's all that article is.
Now,
just out of some
you can hate the article, and
fucking point of.
that's fine, but give this movie a chance.
No, our list is more scientific than that list.
No, I'm not saying the list. I'm saying watch this movie. Sinister. That's my number 2.
All right, number 1, horror from the 2010s. Give you a couple of seconds. You want to take one more stab at the dark? See if you can get it.
Horrors of 2010s. Why? No, go ahead. I'm drawing on it. Is it the fucking Evil Dead? You and these take the fucking cowards. Go ahead.
Odd Thomas. My favorite movie of all time. No bullshit. No, I know we joke around the scientific thing. Odd Thomas is my favorite movie of all time.
I'm not knocking your pick of it and how it is your favorite film overall, because this is obviously opinion, but you led that into horror. Yes, it's a horror comedy, but
It's a comedy.
but horror comedies should be more in the comedy section. That's the only part I disagree. We did review it. We did actually. I even gave it good praise.
Yeah.
So I'm not knocking the film, but I see why it's your number.
You're just mad because there are no actual comedies on my list.
You found the loopholes of the horror comedy, okay, and the technicalities. Bastard.
Yeah, no, I've talked about Odd Thomas verbatim at this point. Done blog on it, done podcast on it, done YouTube video on it. I just, any chance I see, I'll do a TikTok video on how much I fucking love this goddamn movie.
He would. That's why I'm keeping him off the TikTok.
Yeah, I'm really needing to be pried off of it. Don't even have it.
Okay, mine.
You still use it?
I gotta get more active on it, but yeah.
Why?
Well, because now everybody's only videos are going viral is like porn videos, so it's not even fun.
We did a review on porn. Is Wishmaster 3.
This is all this month too in November.
Oh, we haven't done that one yet, have we? It's soon to come. We're going to.
Depends on how you want to put these out in the order, but these are all Novembers.
I'll put them all back to back. Make us come back here in a week and a half to do more.
My number 1 is Avengers Infinity War. We were just talking about this off camera. The build-up, the famous lines, the villain winning, the shock on the heroes that seemed like they were destined to win. Such a good build-up, action, everything.
Comedy. You put a comedy movie in there with one, Paul, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, the way they brought back, Iron Man and Captain America, because this is just right after Civil War.
Yeah.
Knowing that those two are not in talking and everything else like that, and just the shock that when they lost and the snap happened and half the universe disappeared, they were so confused of like, what just happened? The heroes lost, big time. They had one job and they failed. And for Marvel to take it in that direction, like, get it? They could have made Endgame and Infinity War one film, and this could have been like the closing credits of half the film. But then no, they were like, we're doing a film where the villain wins. I can rewatch
a lot of deaths.
Yeah,
and it's like there were even deaths in there that you knew that they couldn't undo.
Yeah,
but then they undid it anyway.
Yeah, with the
Loki.
Yeah, I know. At least they found that was coming out of time traveling.
But still.
Yeah, but that's my number 1, and we are now done.
We're out of here. Done with this list. I'm out of here. Number 1, Odd Thomas, best movie.
Infinity War, my number 1, best movie.
Jack Frost is on my list.
The horror.
I can't believe that stuff. Even look, I have it written down. Stunned as you are. I'm surprised as everyone else.
Until next week. Bye-bye.